Keep walking, keep on your toes, and don't stop talking about freedom. So get going, lots to be learned and lots to be knowing about people. You gotta reach them, see them right now, and then you...
Here's the real State of the Union. Over the past 2 years under Biden, millions and millions of illegal aliens from 160 different countries have stormed across our southern border. Drug cartels are now raking in billions of dollars from smuggling poison to kill our people and to kill our children. Savage killers, rapists, and violent criminals are being released from jail to continue their crime wave, and under Biden, the murder rate has reached the highest in the history of our country. Biden and the radical Democrats have wasted trillions of dollars and caused the worst inflation in half a century. Real wages are down 21 months in a row. Gas prices have soared and are now going up much higher than even before. And the typical American family is paying $2,200 in increased energy and food costs each year.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 14th year in broadcast excellence. Now, in our 15th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Will we be able to endure our world stature as the most powerful, generous, fairest nation in the world until the 24 elections? Joe Biden and the Dems are determined to bury this country with progressive ignorance and wokeness. Joe's not for America, he's for power. Look at the behavior of the Democrats at the start of the promised investigations over the massive takeover of our elections in the last 15 years from the Dems, the DOJ, the DOD, Russia, China. Our cities have turned over our populations with the choice of being murdered or leaving without viable police to even pretend to punish criminals, and are more likely themselves to be jailed than our handling of known felons all over our woke cities. Kids are taught to hate one another because of the color of their skin. Reparations are about to be enforced upon people who have been subject to discrimination themselves. It'll be a contest to see who was the bigger victim. Maybe even a new Olympic sport. Who can jump fastest to the bottom of the basket? And who never owned a slave before are going to be people that are going to have to pay. Our government was not based on crabs at the bottom of the bucket, yanking those on top, then eating them until they had nothing to eat for themselves and started eating each other. By the way, that's called socialism. And this country was based on those crabs at the bottom be wide enough to drag themselves to the top and then destroying the buckets with ambition, education, the American dream, to be as good as you can be under the fairness of America's gift of prayer, pluck, and determination. I'll tell you what, I don't know whether we will survive until 24, but I'll be damned if I give up. Is America worth it? Yeah, it is.
Joe Biden's weaponized Justice Department, and I'm a victim of it, is persecuting his political opponents. His administration is waging war on free speech. They're trying to indoctrinate and mutilate our children. He's leading us to the brink of World War III, and on top of all of that, he's the most corrupt president in American history, and it's not even close. But the good news is we are going to reverse every single crisis, calamity, and disaster that Joe Biden has created. I am running for president to end the destruction of our country and to complete the unfinished business of making America great again. We will make our country better than ever before, and we will always put America first.
Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm your radio talk show podcast host. And I'm here with my lovely bride, who did not make even a little bit of noise this morning. She came in minutes early, actually. Lisa Ann Weinbaum, or as she calls herself, both here and at home, the Law.
I did good, didn't I?
Good morning. Yes, you did great. I'm so proud of you. She when she comes up behind me and she wants to, give me a little rub down.
Yeah.
She scares me a little. I don't know why.
I did not put my fingers all the way around your neck. Just on the back.
Well, see, when you get older, you wonder about things like that.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. And our producer, JP Maxwell. Hi, JP.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Hi, JP.
Doing pretty good.
I feel good today. I feel good about the show. We're going to have some great guests coming on. And by the way, hello to the other producer, Rick Henderson, all the way in Salem, who does all the bits and the clips that we're doing on the show. He's doing a great job. He's recovering from some operations he's having and things like that. So someday he'll be back, I'm sure. Back in person, that is. Our guests include, very proud of these guests, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. He'll be on at 8:10. J.J. Bradshaw. He'll be on about 8:40. Elad Hakim. He'll be on next. And then Jeff Zink from Arizona. And special guest Dick Morris, possibly one of the highest advisors to Donald J. Trump, and was the advisor to the Clintons. Do you believe that? He was the main advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton, and then became a Republican. And we have our first guest ready and raring to go. Let's play his song. Hit it.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, challah. It's a little hard to get the cha. First thing in the morning. Do you ever have any trouble with that, Rabbi? Cha? And it doesn't come out right? No,
nope,
okay.
I was born with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I need to work on my cha. Jews can't speak without saying cha, right?
Yeah, you can't speak Hebrew without that.
You can't do that, no. So his challah baking, now that was much better, which is for the Sabbath, by the way. I used to say it was for Passover, but obviously that's the exact opposite. I was just checking to see. I was checking.
Passover is a lot easier because it's just matzah. It's easier to say.
Yeah, matzah.
So.
I know. Yeah. I was just checking to see if people would react, and apparently they did. He's a non-profit prophet. He travels the world aligning Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Bibi is thinking about changing the Abraham Accords to the Moshe Memorandums. Please welcome all the way from Ephrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. Story came out on the Ukraine and Russia recently. We're open to negotiation, and Prime Minister Natalie Bennett at the time said Biden blocked it. Now, this wasn't reported until Tuesday. It seems Biden and the Dems don't give a darn about the Ukraine, and wants to continue until World War III, nuke war, or whatever. Lots of dollars are involved. What do you think of this?
Well, if you remember when this thing first happened, it was just after the huge spike in U.S. gas prices. And Biden used the war to blame this spike on Ukraine, even though the spike happened way before the war, and the inflation and so on. For him, the Ukrainian war is a very convenient excuse for everything, and I think he has a vested interest in the war continuing because it'll focus the attention back on him if the war comes to an end. And so, he wants to have this in his back pocket so he can blame them for everything.
How dangerous is this? I mean, we're getting close to World War III. How soon before Putin attacks Poland and the other countries? I hear he's pretty close to going into Poland, which means it's going to be obvious that's World War III, right? I mean, it really is in my mind, but.
He also this week said that, Israel could become a legitimate target.
Yeah, did he say that?
Yeah,
no
he did say that this week.
So speaking of that, the Turkey Syrian earthquake, they're calling it now, Israel is helping. And it's not too far away from Israel. I heard there's been some tremors in Israel. Is that right?
Yeah, there have been some tremors. We woke up in the morning one day this week, and we had a message from my son saying he was okay, that he had felt the tremors near him, and there was reported earthquakes in Israel, but it was minor compared to anything that went on in Turkey and Syria. Turkey's some 20,000 casualties.
Yeah,
and Israel has one of the biggest forces there to help. They've rescued at least 10 people now. And they set up a field hospital. Most countries sent 10 people, 15 people. Israel sent 150 people, professionals.
I saw the plane that took them there. Yeah, I saw a picture of them standing in front of the plane. Wow.
We also sent to Syria, which we're officially at war with. Yeah. We sent aid to Syria.
Okay, and there was a story also that I had this in somewhere, but that Syria... wait, let me look at this for a minute. Okay, Syria is actually. They admit their bet on Iran was a disaster. Now, did you? So, what does that mean?
Well, it always reminds me of our first ambassador to the UN, Abba Eban, who once said that the Arabs never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And they seem to make very bad choices. Like Syria, they betting on Iran, betting on Russia, making bad choices. The Hamas, the same thing. If they would turn to Western countries, they would have phenomenally successful, economies, because they have great natural resources. A lot of these Arab countries, and Syria has destroyed itself betting on Iran.
So the U.S. sends $50 million to the Jew-hating Palestinian Authority. UN agency. And is this considered pay to kill?
Definitely. And this is against even U.S. law, but there are those, I think, who are planning on suing the U.S. government because the U.S. law is that they're not supposed to be sending that money until there's an agreement for the Palestinians to stop paying terrorists for killing Westerners, for killing Israelis.
And they're still killing them, aren't they?
They still are. In fact, I don't know if you know, but there was just a terror attack today, about 2 hours ago, a very bad one. It was a car ramming into a group of kids. So far, there's been 2 dead, but quite a large number seriously injured. It literally just happened a couple hours ago.
Now, people in America as well. That's just 2, and Israel is a tiny country,
right?
How much is your population? About 8 or 9 million?
Yeah, but you're about 9 million now.
New York City has 9 million, or they did, anyways. Yeah. They're all leaving.
New York City has about 20 million, I think now. Right. But
okay,
but it's really and last week, with the shootings and it's just been a real spike in terrorism, and
and they're getting $50 million as a reward. They're getting $50 million as a reward for that from the UN.
Yeah,
with our money. Incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, U.S. money. Barcelona bans Israel for their Palestinian treatment.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Look, it's amazing that Spain hasn't learned their lesson yet. In 1492, Spain threw out all the Jews.
Yeah.
And the country's never been the same. And now the mayor of Barcelona, who has a program like with the sister city of Tel Aviv, some kind of partnerships, economic partnerships, she's decided that Israel is an apartheid state, which is pure absurdity and anti-Semitism, and she's broken relationships, at least temporarily. And you know what? It's worse for her than it will be for Israel. So
they're going to lose a lot of tourists, I would guess.
You know what? Exactly. And these countries, they fall into the trap. It's like what you said with Syria. When you make bad decisions and you choose bad partners, you pay a price for that in the end. And they will. Barcelona will.
Yeah, that was a good catch. The Inquisition of 1492. Excellent.
Yeah, which went on for decades. And,
well, it wasn't so much that they kicked them out; it was they were forced to convert or die or get kicked out.
Exactly, right? And so I find it very ironic being lectured by countries like Spain and Germany.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
The Jewish people have a long memory. Just because it happened in 1492 doesn't mean we forgot.
Yeah,
and we have a long memory, and we're not going to be lectured by people who have a history of hatred towards our people. And she knows where to go.
Oh wow. I don't know if we can consider this as the rabbi rant, but it's a beginning. Anyways, Israeli woman wins gold in judo competition in Paris. On a better note, boy, oh boy, how's that?
Yeah, judo. Actually, we keep winning all kinds of awards in judo.
Why is that?
Jews, we're known as lovers, not fighters, but somehow we keep winning judo awards.
Yeah. And other than people like Ron Dermer, Jews typically aren't as tall as most people. Isn't our average height a lot smaller?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, why is that? Is it all the matzah we had to eat in the desert?
Maybe because of all the anti-Semitism, we didn't get nutritious food. I'm not really sure.
All I know is my son is a lot taller than I am. He's a full head taller than I am.
Is that right?
Yeah. Anyways, do you have a Ben and Jerry scoop of the day?
I do, actually.
All right. What is it?
Is there some
key.
sort of theme music you got to play first?
Now it's time for Ben and Jerry's Scoop of the Day from Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. How's that, my man? Go ahead. You're on.
So here's the scoop that nobody knows. I spent the entire day yesterday, with a gentleman who will be announcing in 2 weeks that he will be running for president of Liberia, which is an African country. Yeah. And he came to Israel because, in his own words, he wants to have a marriage between Liberia and Israel. He wants to build the entire country based on exactly how Israel did it. He needs to redo the entire electrical infrastructure, water infrastructure. He wants startups. We met with dozens of startups. We met with politicians. And if you search his name on the internet, it won't even be there. He's a very successful businessman, but you'll find nothing about his run for presidency. But in 2 weeks, I will let you know his name, and he'll be running for presidency. And hopefully, with the backing of the United States, they'll finally have a non-corrupt politician there who's gonna try to clean everything up. And it's going to be good for Israel. It'll be good for Liberia. Picking the right partners.
Well, are you going to be a guest on the show when you come to Raleigh?
I'm not going to get to Raleigh till not on Friday, but on probably early Sunday morning or Saturday night. But what I will say, is that if he wins as president of Liberia, I'll get him on the show, Dave.
Oh, hey, I want that. And I still want...
Have you ever had the president of a country on your show?
Never.
Okay.
But I had Mark McCloskey on, and he was on Tucker Carlson last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool. How cool is that? But never someone who is actually leading a country. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and subscribe to your challah?
They can go to IsraelAlliance.org or our Facebook page, facebook.com/Israel Alliance. And I will be in Raleigh.
Yeah. And the rabbi is very generous. He tried to donate his brain to science. But sorry, but they were only taking used ones. Ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. Thank you, Rabbi.
You have it up on the screen there. February 19th. So hopefully we'll see you all live at the City of Light and Life Ministries.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Awesome.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yep.
How do you want to eat the kids?
Okay.
Thanks for the scoop. Appreciate that. Hey, how about that? A new president in Liberia. Liberia being in Africa, African country, probably another candidate to be definitely in the Abraham Accords, or in the Moshe Memoriams. What did I say that? Memorials. Whatever. Anyways, we can have a league of things. We could have a national league and a Jerusalem league or something. I don't know. You could have these form teams. How many great countries will come together to be a partner with Israel? A real partner.
Yeah.
Trading and otherwise, huh?
It could happen.
You have a national league and an American league and a Russian league, Ukraine league. How about that? Anyways, that was the Rabbi Moshe, and we've got J.J. Bradshaw, and I think we do our first set of commercials right now. Please spend your money with these people, and if you want to sponsor the show, call me at 573-578-2700.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A man goes into a restaurant, he sits down, he's having a bowl of soup. He says to the waiter, come, taste the soup. Waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup? He says, taste the soup. He says, is there something wrong with the soup? Is the soup too hot? He says, will you taste the soup? It's wrong. Is the soup too cold? Will you just taste the soup? All right, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha! What do you know from funny, you bastard?
I tell you what, this is Eddie Murphy's Coming to America movie where he plays a couple of different personalities, and this was he played the old Jewish guy who hung out at the barber shop in the building they were living in, and so that's Eddie Murphy imitating this old Jewish guy. If you haven't seen the movie, and it's funny, and I've used that. I've actually gone. I went to kind of a McDonald's dinner at a big table in Oak Brook or Oak something or other, and the waiter brought me a salad without a fork. So I went right into it. I says, waiter, will you taste the salad? He says, what's the matter with the salad? I says, just taste the salad. He says, what, is it old? Is it wilted? I said, no, just taste the salad. What, not enough tomatoes? I says, no, just taste the salad. He said, all right, where's the fork? I said, aha, and everybody laughed. Anyways, it worked. And it's just good stuff. Good stuff. And it's like, you get all these woke people are out there, all different colors, and they will cancel you in a minute. Last week we were dragged down miserably by Facebook. I believe it was over the Pfizer stuff. And I hear James O'Keefe is actually in trouble with Project Veritas. He's the inventor of it. And somehow the board is up in arms over something about him. He's got a 2-week paid leave. I want to find out what that is right then. And we'll go back to reporting about it. But he seems to me like he did a legitimate job over there. And let us know about all the stuff that was going on that was phony.
Are there rhinos within his own organization?
That's what it's beginning to sound like. Yeah. That they're caving in. Oh, my wife is lollygagging around. Here she is.
I'm busy.
Doing what?
I'm working on the training room.
Well, wait, no, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah, that's not. It's not even my project.
We're here to do the show. You're supposed to be a person on this show, not lollygagging around with all the office help out there, with all the fans. Play the fans.
He's not office.
See, look at this. We got fans out there, and you're out there, and they're not laughing or
I've always been
reacting
out there.
or anything. Yeah, you're out there, all right. Unbelievable. The one thing I will say is she kept quiet during my monologue. Usually she blares a recording of the studio while I'm doing the monologue. Do you know how disconcerting that is?
It's random and occasional.
No, it's not occasional.
It's random and occasional.
It's almost, I'd say about 25% of the time you do that. If you want to call that random.
I'm going to have to check you on your statistics.
No, you don't have to
there.
check me on my
Yes,
statistics.
I do.
See,
another fact checker.
That's more. Yeah, another fact checker, another woke individual.
Not me.
What shouldn't I say? What shouldn't I say? I don't know. Oh, please tell me, what should I not say?
Are you done?
You've only gone. You should never go.
It's too late to be in the doghouse. Too cold.
If you're unwilling to go too far, you haven't gone far enough. Let's put it that way. And let's talk about this. I know I give this comparison, but think about the reparations issue.
Yeah, how's that going to work?
I don't know who is going to qualify. That's what I want to know.
Are they just going to?
Is it a black on white thing? Is it a black on? What about the Asians? What about the Latinos from whatever countries they were from? What about us Jews? Should the blacks come after the Jews? I find that to be a very, very interesting point. Because if you read your Bibles, and you look at what happened in Egypt about 3,000 years ago, and you realize that close to 1 million Jews were kept in chains, building all sorts of buildings and pyramids and stuff like that. 400 years. I don't believe we sued for any reparations. And by the way, in case you have a problem with geography, that's Africa. So if you think that's a good idea for us, if we should respond to that kind of a thing, and you want to take money from us, I don't know too many Jews who were in that business. Maybe there were some that were traders out there, but then again, where did most black slaves come from? They came from the kings and the tribal leaders of the various different tribes and countries in Africa. They were sold, and by the way, they still are. They still are. And I can tell you, if the Jews had any hand in that, they've long been dead. It's been 400 or 500 years, 300-400 years, and it's ridiculous. If you wanted reparations, then probably back in the 1860s to 1870, in that period there, that might have been the time to do it. But it's ridiculous. There's no one here to charge. Just like for the Jews, who is responsible right now in Egypt for Jewish slavery back 3,000 years ago in the time of the pharaohs? Who do we nail? On the other hand, if you get reparations and they're 3,000 years old, it don't have to be much, but think of the compounded interest of all that money. Wow. Just something to think about. It's terrible because you're going to have people fighting, clawing to get this money and trying to out-victim each other. Like I said, it's going to be like an Olympic event. Who can crawl to the bottom fast enough? Who needs the most help? Who was cast upon badly the worst? Okay, it's not America.
I mean, to your point, throughout civilization, there have been groups of people that have been discriminated, used, abused.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, why aren't the Native Americans getting reparations?
Okay.
And way before then. I mean, where does it stop? Why is it exclusive to one group when many, many societies have been discriminated against or used or, been captive slaves?
Sure.
Like white people were slaves,
Of course. Irish.
So I don't know how they can just be so subjective and just pick one group.
I don't know how they do this. And I know I got a friend that's for it. He's a buddy I used to play football with. We still talk to each other.
So he feels like he deserves something.
Yeah.
Because
we're privileged. White people are privileged.
Not feeling the privilege.
He doesn't know I was. I mean, he knows who I was. I mean, I was a little Jewish guy.
Still are.
Who was that's right, and I was a little littler then, and so playing football against guys who were black, white, whatever, and nobody gave me an advantage. Nobody said, "Oh, well, you're one of 3 Jews on the team. You get to start." I beat everybody to play. Okay, I beat them. And as a white person, I was friendly with blacks, and I was enemies with blacks. We would joke together. We'd go to practice together. We'd be nice to each other. We'd fight with each other, and it was fine. All was fine. And in the end, it was good to grow up the way I did, because I had a lot of exposure to all different kinds of situations and people, and I see a handsome young man looking at me, and I know that it's got to be J.J. Bradshaw. Yeah, sure it is. I thought it was Paul Newman for a minute. Then I realized Paul Newman had hair.
He's dead.
And he's dead. Yes, thanks for adding that.
Sure.
Yes, I appreciate that.
You're
I'm sure JJ does too. Let's play a song.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday.
You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kitchen your can all over the place, singing we will rock you. We will rock you. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is 254 years old. He comes from revolutionary times. He knows the people that actually made our Constitution. He was friends with them. Some of them were pretty young. Some of them were, teenagers when they wrote the Constitution. Not by old white men, by teenagers, basically, who were revolutionaries. That's what they were. They were revolutionaries. And they came up with this document that was so amazing that me and this young, older man here study the Constitution, and we know this is a great document if only it's continued to be followed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, the oldest, wisest man I know, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. JJ, how are you?
I'm pretty good for a change, Dave.
Good.
I have managed to laugh at the things that have gone on this week.
Oh.
Perhaps it's a sign of mental illness. You talked about reparations just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I'm an old white guy, and I demand reparations. I have had to tolerate liberal garbage for the last 20 years. It has affected my mental health, and mail me a check.
Yeah, well, you know what?
There you go. Yep.
Lisa was just mentioning this. What we really have is taxation without representation. They're taxing our butts off, and we're paying for stuff, and we're not getting represented. So that was good. My wife made a good point.
You segued right into the first thing I was going to talk about, and that is our Constitution.
Yes.
Senate Judiciary Committee has been interviewing a lady named Charnel Belkingian, and I probably butchered that name. She is a Biden District Court nominee, and she was asked what Article 5 of the Constitution does. She did not know.
Right.
Article 5 of the Constitution requires 2/3 majority in the House and the Senate to amend the Constitution. Then she was asked about Article 2 of the Constitution. She did not know. Article 2 of our Constitution states that you must be a natural-born citizen to be the President of the United States. This is a Biden appointee for a district court judge.
Well, there must be thousands of articles. No, there's 7, right?
This is not rocket science, Dave. I'm an old, stupid guy from Rolla, Missouri, and I know that stuff. This shows how ridiculous the Biden administration is. They're poking people in spots because of their race, their woke ideology. Sure. You pick any silly thing. And this is a woman that does not know our Constitution. One would think that if you're going to be a district court judge, you ought to have some knowledge of our Constitution. What a shame that is. And I brought that up because it's so absolutely ridiculous. One would think she would have been better coached. All right, I'm going to talk with you for a moment and about some stuff you don't expect. This is regarding the State of the Union address.
Oh.
I'm the sort of OCD guy that would go through that thing point by point and shoot holes in it. I'm not going to do that today, Dave.
Good.
I am going to comment on some things, however. Number one, I did not watch that ridiculous speech. That's 70 minutes wasted out of my life. I did not watch the Republican response to that speech. However, I did read the transcripts of both the next day. Why would I listen to a 70-minute speech when I can read the transcript in 10 minutes? Let me say a few things about that. Number one, the State of the Union address had 23 million viewers out of a country of 330 million people. It was a 29% drop from his speech in 2022.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you that.
And it is the lowest audience participation in 30 years. That ought to tell you some things about the quality of the Biden administration. Nobody wants to hear what this clown has to say. If I want to hear lies, I'll go someplace else.
Now, when you say nobody, are you including many Democrats too?
Apparently, there were Democrats that did not watch this.
Yes.
Who knows? I don't know what that demographic might be.
Well, the Democrats don't want to. I mean, if you haven't been looking at the tea leaves lately, Joe Biden's document problem is not caused by anybody in the Republican Party. It's all been from Democrats.
Well, Joe Biden has myriad problems, Dave. Gosh, I don't have enough time on this show to list them all.
Yeah, please don't.
One of the comments I wanted to make, though, was the Republican response.
Yes.
When I read Sarah Huckabee Sanders' response to this thing, she made a bunch of noise about the woke stuff. But she, frankly, could have poked holes in his speech readily with facts and did not do that. Her speech or her interview, her FaceTime on the television was pretty lame. It was a disappointment to me. And think about this. You know that the RNC had to pass judgment on this response before it would be allowed to air. Ronna McDaniels, of course, is still running that clown show. And I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's quite an outspoken woman and an intelligent woman, was very limited by what the RNC would allow her to say. This tells me that the RNC is still business as usual, Dave. It's still corrupt. I wish that a Kayleigh McInerney would have written and responded to that thing. She would have beaten Joe to death with the facts. So I think the Republicans missed a good opportunity here.
I happen to have listened to both speeches, and I kind of thought it was important to look at the reactions of both Biden and the Republicans in the room, and it was pretty interesting to watch the Republicans screaming at him and him playing them, which he did. I'm going to be talking to Dick Morris later about some of the things that were common amongst what he advised Bill and Hillary to do, especially Bill, during his speeches when he was going to run, and what Biden did. And also, I will say this about Sarah Huckabee. I listened to that too, and I was a little tired from listening to Joe. It's very, very. You really got to strain yourself to listen to a whole speech by him, and I was pretty well sickened by the obvious lies and the traps he was trying to set for the Republicans, and stuff like that. It just was sickening to me, and that's why I wondered in my monologue, how are we gonna if what this guy says comes true all the way, we're not going to have any elections in 2025. Now,
indeed,
in terms of Huckabee, this was highly praised by one Kayleigh McEnany, who you just mentioned. Highly praised. And I listened to it, and I thought, you know what, maybe it was important that she take sort of a road about explaining what her vision of America is. And in that, she didn't have to name all the stupid stuff. She did name a bunch of it, but she did it in such a way that it was a positive message. And I think not only did she rank herself way above Joe, but I think she set her own little anchor into what is going to be a great political career, and we're going to have to differ on that.
Well, we do differ occasionally, Dave.
Well, sure,
I thought her response was relatively lame.
Okay.
But we are friends, and we do agree to disagree on occasion.
Well, the only thing we agree upon is our haircuts.
I think mine is lovely.
I think it is too, but I like mine. I like mine better.
Well,
I don't fake it. I don't fake having hair. I don't have hair.
I won't go into that.
Yes, I don't think we should. No, because that's something we could fight about. That'd be terrible.
Regarding Homeland Security, I read a little piece the other day that Andy Biggs has started a movement to impeach Mayorkas, who is our Homeland Security Secretary, over high crimes and misdemeanors, which is part of what's required to impeach. And his comment was failure to enforce our immigration laws at our southern border. I got a little chuckle out of that. The odds of this clown being impeached are rather low,
right?
But I'm glad to see someone that is willing to stand up and say, look at what this guy is not doing at our southern border. He has sworn an oath, same oath that I swore, to protect and defend the Constitution. And he's done a pretty miserable job at it, although the PR machine has managed to make him look less of an idiot than what he probably is. Another little bit here. Hunter Biden, hearings going on in the House with Twitter executives.
Yeah.
Hindering free speech. And Jim Jordan did a remarkable job of beating these folks up. I watched segments of that on C-SPAN and was just amazed. One of the Twitter staffers, not necessarily an exec, had called Trump staffers Nazis.
Yeah.
And boy, they tried to walk that back so quickly. It was like sticking your hand on the burner of the stove. It was pretty good. Now, will anything come out of that? I don't know.
Well, you know what comes out of it? Comes out of it that, first of all, you got to look at the Democrat. I want to play some of the, let me play a clip that'll show you not only some of the accusations, but also the Democrat responses. Go to 11 and 12, please.
Twitter and other social media companies took extraordinary steps to suppress that story. Now mainstream media outlets have verified the laptop, but the damage has been done.
You exercised an amazing amount of clout and power over the entire American electorate.
I think you guys got played by the FBI, and that's the scary part.
But Democrats like AOC are dismissing and calling questions about the hearing.
Silly does not even begin to capture this obsession. What's more, Twitter's editorial decision has been analyzed and debated ad nauseum.
A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation. We're talking about Hunter Biden's half-fake laptop story. I mean, this is an embarrassment.
I want to listen to I want to see every one of the F-51 intel agents. I think that's going to be, I want to know how that was choreographed, how that was put together. And the strategy here with these folks is to admit that they screwed up because it doesn't matter. They won, right? They could say, yeah, you know, we screwed up, you know, we shouldn't have done that. But they're kind of at the same time admitting they got away with it and they can't arrest them. You can't do anything about it. They did censor material. I know that people say private companies can't do that, but when the government colludes as part of a cabal, which they called it, to vanish actual news to affect an election, that is censorship. And they weren't played by the FBI. They were playing with the FBI.
They not only got played by the FBI, but I agree with Greg. I think that they played with the FBI because they are very anti-Republican. They wanted Joe Biden to win. And we already know from the numbers that but for the suppression of this laptop, a lot of people might have voted differently. And I also think that it's important to note that when you've got an FBI that is reaching out to social media companies and saying, be on the lookout for a leaked Russian disinformation on a laptop, and then you've got the FBI lying to a FISA court, and then you've got, all kinds of agencies getting involved, like even with the balloon saying, we didn't tell the president for a bunch of days. You start to wonder who's running the country. Is the president running the country, or are these agencies running the country?
Okay, do you have comments on that? I know we didn't get to the guy with the Nazi comments, but he was one of the guys that was I think he was an executive who was in charge of axing Twitter comments that were against the rules, and he actually voted, even though he said that all those Trump people are Nazis. He disagreed with the original wanting to cut off the New York Post items. He disagreed with it, and the guy said, well, why? Eventually he voted for it. He said, well, my boss overturned me, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal not to object to the boss. So I went along. Do you see what I'm saying?
Dave, a number of people on your clip say that Twitter execs were played by the FBI. This is not the case at all. Twitter execs were holding hands with the FBI and in partnership with the FBI.
Yeah.
I think there's no question about that, at least in my mind. And had the Hunter Biden laptop been exposed just prior to the election, which is the time frame, I think Joe Biden would have taken a hell of a hit at the polls.
Oh, I think you could have proven that in and of itself overthrew the election, because you've got polls out there that say up to 50% of the people would have changed their vote had they known about this story. That's overwhelming Donald Trump victory.
It was actually 48%, Dave, and I read those polls and I read the commentary on those polls. I think there's no question that there was a conspiracy to overthrow an election, to subvert an election, and they were successful at it. Now, all that's happening right now is after the fact. Of course, we're stuck with this boob as a president who is not rightfully in that office. Yeah. And the Congress is making some noises about it, but do you really think anything will come of this? I don't think the Republican Party either has the power or the wherewithal to do anything. They can expose some things, but I'm afraid the people of this country pretty much yawn whenever they hear those facts slid past them. And I think that's a terrible shame. Now, you mentioned that we may never have a fair election in this country again. I think that's a rightful concern. These folks are doing all they can to make sure that the 2024 elections go for the Democrats. And if that happens, we will never have another election.
Well, that's what we're fighting for. And I'm not saying I know that we're going to succeed. I'm saying that we can't give up. We got to keep fighting.
Do my damnedest to make sure that
exactly. And those Republicans who sat out and didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy at the beginning have shown to be real heroes. Those are the people now who are running things, not the rhinos. Kevin McCarthy has not done a rhino-like thing since he's been in office, if you notice. He's done everything.
They're holding his feet to the fire.
They're holding his feet to the fire, and he knows if he goes the other way, as he has at other times, he's done. All right?
Possibly.
Well, I mean, all it takes is one of them to get up and say, you're done, and a majority vote, and he's done.
Isn't it a shame, Dave, that 9 people in the Congress are the only ones that are standing up and not being rhinos?
I say yes, and I say thank God for those 9 people standing up.
Yes, thank God.
Because we wouldn't be seeing what we're seeing now. Thank God we got Jim Jordan up there and that Coomer guy. And these Democrats, they're not stupid. They know if we vote, if the House votes to impeach Majorca, then what are they going to vote? Especially the ones along the border.
Well, you have a valid point there, Dave. The border states are the ones that have been raising hell about this, and rightfully so.
Oh, yeah.
It tends to be the vocal ones that get heard in Congress. Us silent majority types, they don't much care what we have to say or what we think. There may be a possibility that this guy gets impeached. I think the hearing's going to occur. And good. It is good that there are 9 patriots in our House of Representatives that are willing to stand up and say, wait a minute, this is absolutely wrong, and we are not going to stand for it. That's a good thing. Yeah. I wish there were 90 instead of 9.
Well, that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to convince people that you're going to be better off being a real Republican, a real pain in the butt to Democrats who are trying to put you under, all right, trying to make you disappear, putting you in jail, for example. Mm-hmm. The 1-6, we're going to have Jeff Zink on the show shortly, and we're going to be talking about that, about his own son was supposed to give up and comp to being influenced by Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. All right, so he could get rid of his he would plead guilty to certain things and then be let go. See, now he's facing jail time, and Jeff Zink and his son
Dave Chris Adamo got it right in his book Rules for Defeating Radicals. I own a copy of that. I've read it twice so far. Uh-huh. This may be motivation to read it again. We should be using the same sorts of tactics against the Democrats as they used against us. The problem is I have a hard time lying. It's just not a part of my nature. And one of the reasons I love Jim Jordan so much is this is a fellow that goes for the throat. He is not willing to fool around. He is willing to ask the direct questions and absolutely unwilling to take BS as an answer to those questions.
And I think the Democrats are just showing their hand. They're scared to death. They are absolutely scared. They know they've committed sedition. They know they've been traitors to this country. They know all about the elections. They know all about partnering with the cartels.
Yeah.
I mean, this is shameful. It's murder. It's mass murder. If you're looking at the fentanyl thing, did you see what happened when Joe Biden started complaining about the fentanyl? And the Congress went, well, why don't you close the border, you idiot?
Yeah. We've got a pretty simple solution for this. Close the damn door.
Yeah. Oh, now they're blaming Congress because Congress hasn't given them the money to close the border. Right. Okay. People know that's not true. Go ahead.
The same Democrats that have had the White House and both houses of Congress for the last 2 years, but yet it's not their fault. I ain't buying it.
Exactly.
Well, look at Biden's executive orders on his first day in office, which pretty much said, let's cut off the oil pipeline and let's open the border. Now he's trying to say, I must blame this on the Congress because they have taken no action. Well, Bubba, they were a Democrat Congress. Have you no influence on these people? What silly world do you live in, Joe? And as far as his speech was concerned, I question the amount of amphetamines this man had in his bloodstream during that speech, because this fellow can't put together 2 sentences and make a paragraph. He was reading this off a teleprompter, but he's proved to us that he can't read a teleprompter very well. And when he goes off script, stupid things fall out of his mouth, jumbled words that mean nothing. Like I said at the beginning of this conversation, Dave, I have been humored this week.
Yeah.
I'm not angry this week because this has achieved a level of ridiculousness that I must laugh at instead of crying.
All right.
Dave,
well,
let me parting shot for you. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
There's
I'm
no
ducking.
need to duck. You are in no danger from me.
Well, that wouldn't help me because you're a good shot. So.
Yeah, yes, I am.
I know,
January
thanks.
6th prosecution.
Yes.
There have been a total of 400 people sentenced as a result of that. Some of those were plea bargains, some were guilty pleas. Still 220 in jail as a result of this. Get arrested and not be offered bail is a travesty in this country. And there are still 985 with active prosecution occurring against them. This is a true travesty, and
it is a political Reichstag in the United States.
Absolutely right.
Exactly the same thing that Hitler did in February of 1933 to the communists. Threw them all in jail. They didn't do anything. He just threw them all in jail, and had an excuse that they were trying to burn down the Reichstag. Okay.
This is Dave. This is a case of simple trespass. On the part of most of these people, which might be a misdemeanor, might be a felony. I don't know, but they're being slapped with charges that are utterly ridiculous. And frankly, if you're trying to fight the United States government, you're going to have some money and some pretty good lawyers.
Absolutely.
And most of these people don't have that.
Absolutely. All right, my friend, I got to get going. I got a phone call, and I got to get prepared for the next interview.
Dave, I love our conversations.
As do
Friday
I.
morning. I'll be talking with you next Friday.
As do I, my friend. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Yay, John Jeffrey. And I got a few things I got to read, but I also got a phone call. And I think I know who it is. What's your name? Where are you calling from, Adolf?
Yeah. Sounds like me.
That's you. What's
That's
going
me.
on?
You're a good guesser.
Thank you. Of course, it helps that your name's on my phone.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, right. I was going to be a psychic. I was going to be a psychic, but there's no future in it.
Nope, none whatsoever.
None. No, not at all. No
You're
money.
better off making hamburgers.
Yeah, I wish I knew the future of that too. Anyways, these days, oy vey. These days, even Hunter Biden, even Hunter Biden has raised the money he has to pay the big guy to 20% because of inflation.
Oh yeah.
You didn't know that, did you?
Between the Chinese taking over the United States, which they're slowly doing, thanks to the Biden, thanks to all the money flowing in from China to the Biden economy, amongst other places.
Yeah.
And then school kids not learning a darn thing. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh, gaslighting. There has been so much gaslighting in Washington, D.C. There are record temperatures across the Northeast.
I don't know. Is it now? There were record low temperatures. Now they're pretty warm, aren't they? Up there,
record high temperatures.
Yeah, high temperatures. You never know what either way they're going to blame global warming. This is so ridiculous. They're basing everything on something that doesn't exist, and everybody knows it. Nobody can prove it one way or the other. I mean, we can pretty much justify over long periods of time what has happened and what hasn't happened. And unless we're entering a new ice age or some kind of a new burst of volcanoes and stuff that's going to warm the earth, nothing has really happened that much over the last 300-400 years.
Well, nothing's going. It's a natural thing. It's not. Yeah. It's not man-made. It's natural.
Right.
But then again, have you seen the video of all them young people in Africa slaving away at, I don't even know if they're getting paid, digging up cobalt by hand?
Yeah,
Not
for electric cars,
heavy
right?
equipment was being used.
For electric cars, they're using child slave labor from Africa. That's a great look for the Democratic Party, isn't it?
You got it right, the Democratic.
Yeah. All right, what else you got, my friend? I got a couple things going.
Not much.
All right.
I'm supposed to start my treatments hopefully this coming week.
Good.
So we'll see.
How you feeling?
We're hanging in there.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
All right,
Joanne says hi.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. I got something. I know I cracked
Hi,
a few
Joanne.
jokes, but all I got to say is this. Last week I drove out to buy a condo, but I ended up with a flat. Ladies and gentlemen, you could have given me that, Crickets, because he moaned on that one.
That wasn't bad. Wasn't
Thank
bad.
you very
Wasn't
much.
great, but it wasn't
No,
bad.
I'll take applause anytime I can get it. Believe me.
There you go.
I don't get it much at home, that's for sure. All right. Thank you, my friend. You and
be good this
Joanne.
week.
Ow! Yeah, wait. Was that from you or her? Oh my
It
God! From
wasn't
both
from
of
me.
you. They're ganging it up on me here. What's going on with that? All right. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Have a great weekend. Hi to Joanne.
You bet.
Okay, my
Bye.
friend. Whew. Wow. Okay, well, where are we? We're close to another interview, and we haven't done any. Well, we did some funny stuff. How about we do? You know, I was worried about my son, but then I found out this about my son. My son works. He does. I just discovered that. You know, I'm out there directing traffic and everything like that, but he's back inside in a nice, cushy, seat in McDonald's, and he's doing paperwork. So I didn't realize that until that, and it just shocked me. I had to say it. Say it again.
Oh, my.
My son works. Yeah, there it is. Anyways, let's do.
No, you need something else there.
Let's see. Let's see some Reagan stuff.
Three fellows that went out of the building to get in their car and found they'd locked the keys in. They were locked out. And one of them said, "Get a wire coat hanger, and we straighten it out, and I can get the." And the other one says, "You can't do that. Somebody think we're stealing the car." And the third one said, "Well, we better do something pretty quick because it's raining, starting to rain, and the top's down."
They came to General Secretary Gorbachev, and they told him there was a woman in the Kremlin. She wouldn't leave unless she could see him. So he said, "Well, bring her in." And they brought her in. And he said, "Old mother, what is it? What?" She said, "I have a question." He said, "All right." She said, "Was communism invented by a politician or a scientist?" Well, he said, a politician. She said, "That explains it. A scientist would have tried it on mice first."
That's what the vaccines are all about. We don't know what the hell's going on with those. I mean, I'm not saying I know. I'm not an expert. I know there's something going on, and it ain't good. But we don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know what's going to happen years from now. When people have had it for like 10, 15 years, we're just getting into the level of 2 or 3 years of these vaccines and what it means to us. Is there anything else going on that people know about? I found out something yesterday. I'm not going to tell it, but what are the other things that could happen if you survive the first, let's say, year after you've had the shots? Do you have other things happen to you? Do you have kidney disease? Do you still get heart problems, brain problems? And then maybe we should relook some of the other vaccines, like the flu. How many people in the flu died from the flu? Did they die from other stuff? Was there more dying? Now, the VAERS report doesn't show that. The only one they show a huge spike for was the COVID vaccines. So we'll see. It's a very entertaining thing. And is there a cure? Is there a cure for taking the vaccine and making sure your heart is not affected? Is there a cure for the vaccines, that is? Andrea Shrum, she had some other stuff here. The mice died, so they decided to try it on humans anyway. That's an interesting point because, In India, they told Pfizer, if you want to sell your vaccines here, you have to test it on mice first. I think it was mice, and they refused to do it. And so nobody in India gets the Pfizer shot. They all took ivermectin, and guess what? They all did very well with ivermectin. Play that.
I'm going to have to look for it. I don't know if I have that one at the queue.
No.
Ivermectin. I take it by the pill. Ivermectin, the pandemic, it shall chill. Ivermectin, I let it take its course. Ivermectin, now I'm neighing like a horse.
Maybe JP lost that on purpose.
Don't be giving away all my secrets.
No, I bet you that was better than the actual one I recorded.
I'll pay you after the show, JP.
Yeah, jeez. All right, well, very soon we're going to be seeing a face up there, and I hope, no, not that face. But let me read some more from the board here while you got me there. While we're waiting for Elad. Billy Paul Tyndall, who got knocked out of Twitter for some reason. Good morning, man. Thank God it's Friday and Red Friday. Remember, everyone deployed until they all come home. That a boy. Billy is in, I believe he's in Alabama or someplace like that. I'm not sure exactly. There's that bright-looking face right there. Bright, unshaven, but that's okay. I don't require. I got a beard. Who cares? But if you're trying to grow a beard, you got a ways to go. Okay. Let's play his music, please. And gentlemen, powerhouse South Florida lawyer, writes all over the net on politics and law, star of TV, radio, and podcast. Please welcome all the way from Boca Raton, Florida, Elad Hakim. Hi, Elad. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Good morning. I'm well. You?
I'm good. Thanks. Feel pretty good today. I don't know why. Some days, you just don't have it. Other days, you're feeling good. Today, I'm feeling good. So, when did our Congress become the British Parliament? Did you hear all that yelling? I mean, we didn't used to do that, did we? One guy called Barack Obama a liar, and he was eviscerated, and nobody else said anything. Everybody condemned him, even the Republicans. What happens? What's happening?
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't watch the State of the Union?
I did not watch the State of the Union.
There were several times when, one was Biden was claiming that the Republicans were trying to get rid of Social Security and all the Medicare and all that stuff. In fact, play 14. I'll get your reaction.
Whatever happened to that old conservative discipline about paying for what you spend? I'm up for re-election this year, and I'm going to remind everybody what I did at home, which is going to cost me politically. When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time. Somebody has to tell me in here how we're going to do this hard work without dealing with any of those sacred cows.
Do you know who that was?
That sounds like our president, our current president.
Very good.
I don't know when those statements were made.
1995. And he's been doing it for 40 years. And then when he blames the Republicans went out of their minds. for trying to do the same thing, which they didn't do. All they said was everything's going to come up and we're going to, take it all down and then put it all back together. They didn't say they were going to focus on Social Security, but see, that becomes the big deal.
Well, yeah, I did not. I intentionally, obviously, chose not to watch the State of the Union because I figured it would be more of the same, inaccuracies. And based on what I've read, I did see snippets where people came out and yelled, and you know what? I mean, I'm happy to see that there's some life and some energy, but it was more of the same. Not taking accountability for anything, placing blame on everyone else for the world's problems, and then turning around and saying that he created how many jobs? I can't remember, 14,000. I can't remember what the number was.
Yeah, it was millions. It was like 10 million or
millions,
it was in the
whatever
millions.
it was. We know he didn't create jobs. We know more that jobs are just rebounding after years of closures. So he's not creating the jobs. So that's why I chose not to watch it. I figured I'd just read about it.
Well, there's I've got an interview with Dick Morris coming on about 10:30, and I pre-did his interview because he was busy today, and he was talking about when he was advising Bill Clinton. He told Bill Clinton, don't tell them that the economy is great and this and that. They know what the economy is like. Tell them something little. Tell them something that, isn't, they know is true, even if it's not a big thing. And so when, what's his name, Biden says, we're going to fix all these taxes on people that are, trying to swindle us, all these, billionaires and stuff like that. That may or may not matter. The oil companies, I don't know. See, to me, it's if you know the story, the oil companies are in trouble because why would they want to invest in something that's going to be gone in 2 years?
Well, you're right.
So they're making big money right now. They're not investing in any new equipment. They're not investing in any new wells because they can't get the leases for them. Exactly. But he's making a big deal. That's a little thing. People know that's happening, but it's not obvious that that's a good criticism of them, is it?
I think that he could come across as much more, believable. I use that word really, really hesitantly. If he just comes out and says, I know that the economy or whatever it is not in good shape, and this is what I intend to do to try to fix it. You'll never hear that, but I think that would come across a lot more credible. I know the border is a disaster.
Yep.
And this is what I intend to do to fix it. Instead of saying the border is a disaster because of Trump's policies, or because Republicans don't implement my border control, plan. Take responsibility for what's going on, and then indicate how you're going to fix it.
Yeah.
That we didn't see. That you don't see. But I think that Americans.
His main theme was, you know what, the job isn't done. Let me finish the job. And when he says it, it sounds like, well, maybe he's going to finish off America once and for all. Feeds to me. Now, other people might say, yeah, all right, let's give him till whatever. Let's reelect him again because he's going to finish the job. To me, that means he's going to destroy this country before we have an election. Jeff Zink, hello, everyone. I always enjoy listening to Dave. If you want the truth, then sit down, get a cup or a gallon of coffee, and brace yourself. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for advertising your upcoming appearance, as some of my guests do. And so,
I sit here and I think to myself, how much crap can I take from Dave?
You can take a lot of crap. That's why I love you. That's why you're on the show. I'm very nice to your wife. I just want you to know I don't give her the kind of stuff that you get. Because you can take it, you have a sense of humor.
Yeah, it's no problem.
By the way, did you know who was on Tucker Carlson last night?
Who?
Mark McCluskey.
Oh.
Yeah, a nice segment about him and his wife standing off the hordes from Black Lives Matter. No, it's kind of interesting.
I don't really watch Fox. Fox to me.
Well, what do you
is
do?
turning
Where do you get your
anti-Trump.
information from, sir?
A lot of people ask me. I read a lot. I read from different sources, just a wide variety of sources, because I think that somewhere in the middle is where the truth is. So that's kind of where I go. I don't watch Fox because Fox is completely anti-Trump.
Yes, I would say there's a lot of truth to that, only in the matter that they don't mention Trump. They complain about Democrats complaining about Trump, but they try not to mention him, and I think that's intentional.
Yeah, I do too. But not only that, I think that they will mention when there's something that hurts him or that goes against him.
Yeah.
And didn't Murdoch come out and say he's not supporting Trump?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think he did. So I don't watch it. It's a shame because there are some good people on Fox.
What are you going to watch these days? They knocked off Newsmax from AT&T and also OANN.
Yeah,
which you were a big part of and maybe still are.
It's getting hard. Listen,
yeah,
it's getting very hard. Unfortunately,
I was shadow banned last week because I was talking about the Project Veritas stuff with Pfizer.
I think that I lost my LinkedIn page, where my posts recently have been getting thousands of views. Last night it was deleted or inactivated.
Yeah, well, so was Twitter was down yesterday.
It's crazy.
Yeah, something's going on. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking that Twitter, maybe they got people there that are revolting against Elon, because it was off most of the day. I still can't follow people there, and it's been over a week. I got a guy right here on the show here. His name is Billy Paul Tyndall. He's always been a friend on Twitter, and suddenly he disappeared for a couple months. And he says, "Why haven't the states locked it down? They can overrule the Fed because they have their own state constitution to protect the people in the states." Just how I see it, which I would agree with, by the way. Huh?
Locked what down?
I don't know. I suppose the laws, the elections, things like that. Here, we're going to talk to Jeff Zink and see what happened there. And that election has more proof in the trial that they did have, which I listened to personally, than any of them, and it was immediate. They had immediate proof. They had the guy in charge of Maricopa County voting, who was a Democrat, say that none of the votes were legitimate. Not one of them. 2.9 million votes. And he says
I think that, and you can ask Jeff about this, but I think that there's a lawyer, I'm not sure if he's in Arizona, but that has gone ahead and filed the lawsuit challenging the standard that was applied by the judge in Carrie Lake's case.
Could be, yeah.
I think,
well, there's an appeal going.
I'm pretty certain that there was a lawsuit filed by a younger attorney too, but apparently, it based on some legal pundits, they said it seems pretty strong.
Yeah,
the standard that was applied was too heavy. It was too heavy of a burden under Arizona law, and the judge was apparently incorrect in imposing that standard. So. Ask Jeff. I'm curious to see what he says. Okay.
Well, we'll be talking about it, and if you want to come back on and you want to be on with him, I know there's a big layover. You can just postpone your morning tradition there and call me back. You're always welcome. Seriously.
I appreciate it.
No, and I think it would be good. He'll be on at 10, so we can put you on a three-way with him. I'm not going to have you on until then because I've got other business to do. But I know this is good exposure for you. And Jeff Zink is a good guy to know. So
And
you got to admit, you've met a
Republicans.
lot of good people on this show, and your wife is on it, and Chris Adamo and McCluskey and Jeff Zink, a whole bunch of them. You sort of formed a cabal, I notice, which on your Twitter feed, you always put me there and a lot of other people that have been on the show or maybe in the future. So that's great.
I
Now,
always try to include you, my friend.
No, and I do appreciate that, and I notice it too. So if they awarded gold medals for each lie and plagiarism of Biden, would he be buried in solid gold? I mean, incredible amount of lying and plagiarism going on in his lifetime as a politician.
Yeah, incredible amount. And just, what's most sad is that he's still at 41%? I mean, how is he not at 10%? Seriously.
I don't believe it.
How is that possible?
It isn't possible. I don't believe he won in 2020. Do you believe he won?
I don't.
Yeah.
Push comes to shove, I don't believe he won.
And they're saying right now the FBI thing alone, the FBI tucking away that, putting away the Biden laptop case, and then having 51 of these intel experts, including people that ran the CIA, claim that this is a Russian hoax. People are saying now if they would have known about it, I think it's 48%, they would have changed their vote. End of story. Trump wins.
You know what I like that Trump is doing now? I like that he is coming out with these videos. I don't know if you've seen them, but he's coming out with videos on different issues, whether it's economy, the border, whatever it is. They're short, like 1, 2, 3 minutes, but they're policy issues. They're how he's going to differ from what's going on now. And I think they're very powerful and very effective. He's also, in this back and forth with DeSantis.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of discussions with people who are DeSantis supporters. But listen, I support the president. I say President Trump.
Right.
I support him, and I think that he is the one to beat, and I think that he is the only one who can win. I really do. I don't think that DeSantis can win, and I don't think that DeSantis' policies, who are much further to the right than Trump's, are going to sell well in certain parts of the country.
Well, I'm in agreement with you on that, although I think DeSantis has done a great job for Florida so far. I think he's a future possibility, and I don't think he's ready for prime time, and I think Trump not only deserves it, but I think this country deserves Trump back because we were cheated out of having him be the president. And look at everything that's happened that's been negative just in 2 years. And another 2 years to go. I'm really scared for the future of our country and for its ability to elect people honestly. Aren't 100%. You?
At the end of the day, it's going to be election integrity. That's what it's going to be. If people think, for example, that any Republican, Governor DeSantis, anyone, can overcome what we saw in 2020, they're nuts. Trump had how many more, 6 million? I don't even remember how many more votes in 2020 than he did previously.
It was like 12 million, I think. And
he only lost by 50,000 or so votes.
Yeah.
That's because of the turnout that he demands. He brings people out. And if people think that any other Republican is going to bring that kind of turnout,
no,
I don't see it.
And he's just getting started now. I mean, these people, and you know what? To bring in age, these people like, even Sarah Huckabee brought in age, but Trump likes her. I think she's got a real shot now. I know you didn't. Did you see her?
I did. I saw her rebuttal. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. And I think she raised herself up a couple notches to a possibility of her being vice presidential material, and or in the future, she probably would make a pretty good president. What do you think?
Yeah, she's smart, and let her be healthy. Thank God she seems to have gotten over that. So let her be well, and she's good. She's smart, and she's good. I think that Huckabee, her dad, is kind of a DeSantis guy now. But
you do?
I think so. I think he's kind of come out and said that he's, his support. I think that he's more of a DeSantis supporter.
I don't
now.
think so. He's got this book out he's advertising about the greatness of Donald Trump. I mean, I just saw commercials on it.
Take a look and see. I think that he's come out. We're talking about Mike, right? Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Huckabee.
Right.
So
the ex Arkansas governor. Right.
I think.
All right.
But look,
Well,
Dave, I'm all about loyalty, and I think that some people are like, well, loyalty to the country, not to a person. But you know what? I like Governor DeSantis. I really do. I think he's been great for Florida.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, chances are real high he wouldn't even be governor without Trump. All right,
Yeah,
because
I've heard
he was not having an easy time with Gillum, and he could have very well lost. So I don't like the fact, if he runs, that's really cool.
Yeah.
If it wasn't 80 degrees here, I'd actually take one.
Well, if it wasn't, if your head wasn't so big, I could probably have it on the screen without having to maneuver it.
I think that if he runs, it is just a slap in the face. You just don't do that. And that's just my opinion.
No, you know what? I agree with you, but right now everybody seems to be thinking this. Well, he's older now, and the country's changing. The Democrats have dumped on him so much. They've got Republicans and rhinos all over the place talking bad about him. He's still doing good in the polls, okay? Still doing real good in the polls, but they think they got a shot, and they're saying, well, I'm not getting any younger, so I might as well take a shot here too. And I think they're throwing it in and see what happens. But I would say this: there is a certain amount of justice that goes along with Donald Trump being the next president, because he was cheated. We were cheated. His supporters were cheated. Now, I find that to have some blame on Donald J. Trump, because he knew it was coming. He knew he was going to be cheated. And I'm not sure he did enough to fight it back. Now, would you say he did?
No, I mean, listen, in hindsight, clearly he didn't.
Yeah. We knew it was coming.
But who could have predicted the extent to which whatever happened? I mean, it's one thing to say, there's mail-in ballots and there may be cheat, but
if you look back to 2016, and you look back to the FBI lying to a FISA court 4 times, and you look back to them actually surveilling his campaign with phony warrants and things like that, and how they accepted him when he was finally president, because they didn't accept him at all, and the riots that ensued because of Donald Trump getting elected, you had to wonder if he was going to be elected again.
But you know what, Dave?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to blame Trump? You turn around and blame the Republicans. There were enough Republican-led state legislatures that did zilch. Okay, they did nothing in 2020. They had a chance, but they went ahead and certified. So they did nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Trump is partly to blame. I mean, as much as you can anticipate what happened, but they had a chance.
Well, I thought that there should have been huge representations of lawyers from Trump and the DOJ at these election facilities. For most of the time, there weren't any at all Republican observers in these buildings. None. Now, could they afford? Now, would it still have been thrown? Maybe. But it would have been a lot tougher, I think, for them to do that.
And I think it's going to be tougher for them to do, to replicate what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
But, I remember Jeff was on your show a couple months ago, and he was telling us how in Arizona, I think even Republicans were opposed to certain measures, for election integrity measures being passed.
Yeah, sure.
Think about that. If you have members of your own party opposed to it, and look at what happened in Arizona. I think we're going to have the same type of problem unless Republicans really push forward and pass, tough election reform.
Well,
we're going to see the same problem. And by the way, in Pennsylvania, I think yesterday, Pennsylvania now the House is controlled by Democrats.
Oh, God.
That's the first time in I don't know how long. So you've got a state that's a disaster already when it comes to elections. They have Fetterman, and now you have Democrats controlling it there.
And Fetterman is in the hospital.
I know.
They're talking about if he doesn't make it, then, I don't wish him any ill harm, but his wife is going to take over.
God forbid. I mean, let everyone be well, but it just shows you, the same questions. You got Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, you got Wisconsin, Michigan. What are you going to do with these? What's going to happen? What are Republicans going to do? They're throwing all these hearings now, right?
Yep.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do?
I don't know.
Investigating and having hearings.
Well, it's something. They're going to make sure everyone knows. They're not going to.
Who doesn't know? Tell me one person who hasn't formulated an opinion about whether
all those people who didn't get the opinion from the 2020 case where this whole story about Hunter Biden's laptop and all the information that was in it, amazing amount of information, and a lot of it probably relating to classified documents that are being revealed, it was a crime family. I mean, a real mafioso crime family, the Biden family.
That people are going to watch these hearings. You're assuming that the news is going to report on any findings that are against the Democrats' wishes.
I didn't say it would be easy. I didn't. I say it's worth the fight to do this.
100%.
Okay.
100%. But the fight should be the right fight. The fight should be to change the laws and to change the procedures in the different states to prevent this. If you want to investigate and do all that, great. But remember, you're still fighting.
Well, you got to investigate, and you have to make certain people responsible. For example, the Twitter group who went and combined with the federal government, thus becoming an agent of the federal government, now could be posed as being guilty of election fraud.
Who's going to pursue that?
I will.
I mean, your attorney general is pursuing it on a civil side, right?
What's that?
Your attorney general in Missouri is pursuing a claim, but a civil case, right?
Yeah, you're talking about Schmidt, who's now he's now a senator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but who's going to pursue it? You're going to ask the attorney general of the U.S. to pursue it?
No, I'm going to ask you.
Who?
You.
Me? Oh yeah. Listen, all kidding aside, who's going to pursue it?
I don't know. That's
I'm
not a lawyer. This is what I do. This is what I do to project America's angst over this. And beyond that, I'm not a lawyer. I have to try to figure out ways to get the message over. And people like yourself who get the message and are frustrated by what we're going to do, we got to do something, and I don't know what it is. But it's got to get done, and it's got to be done soon.
We have to push our people in government to actually take real steps to make changes. They did that in Florida. Florida's a huge state.
Okay.
You know how fast we counted our votes?
Yeah.
I mean, there were no problems. How does a state like Arizona have machines that are broken on the day of election? How is that possible?
Because it's absolutely corrupt.
When the attorney general of the state is running for governor and she's projected to lose. That's how it happens.
Well,
she doesn't recruit herself.
No, she was the Secretary of State. She was in charge of her own election.
Secretary of State,
yeah.
So I agree with you, Dave. I think that it's great to have transparency. It's great to
maybe somewhere we'll find an honest judge. And I'm not saying that judge was dishonest in Arizona, but I listened to that trial, and I'm not stupid. And when a guy from Maricopa County, a Democrat, says there was no custody of any votes in his district, which is Maricopa County, it's just almost the total amount of votes in Arizona. 2.9 million, that's evidence. That's hard evidence. That's the Democrat did that. And
is
the
Arizona
judge
still a Is Arizona still considered a red state?
I don't see how. There's plenty of people. I think they're more of a population-wise a red state. And yet the Democrats have taken over, and some rhinos have taken over.
Right.
That's what it seems like.
We'd have to ask Jeff, but I think they kind of call it what you would call a purple state because they're saying it's pretty much split right now.
You want to hang on for Jeff? Because I want the two of you to figure out what the hell to do.
What time is he coming on?
He's coming on in about 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So maybe I'll call back. Do I just click on that same link?
Yeah, same link. It'll bring you back in. Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You might want to put a suit on and a tie. You know, I don't want to mention anything like that, but no, you look fine.
No suit, no tie.
No suit, no tie. No service. I'll talk to you in 15, okay? Say hi to your lovely bride.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, we're going to get Elad back. Let me see some. I know we got to do commercial. Let me see some of these great clips. In fact, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do the commercial and then come back, and then I'll read the stuff. All right, how's that? Let's buy where my wonderful sponsors are. Please hit it.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank termite and pest control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank from out of pest control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Mark Stein used to be on Fox a lot, Tucker Carlson especially, but I guess he was with CBS, another kind of, or CBC, CBS, I'm not sure. But he quit because they threatened him over the Pfizer commentary. And by the way, Pfizer is... They sponsored the Satanic Grammy Awards segment, and I'm laughing in it, but it's kind of a weird matchup, isn't it? Sponsored by Pfizer.
I think it makes sense.
Well, I'm not going there.
They're obviously not out for the greater good of humanity.
All right, well,
somebody made the point that if you look at Pfizer's name backwards, it spells something that it translates to Satan or something like that. I would have to look it up again, but it was very interesting. Yeah.
Rezif. Mm-hmm. That was something. All right, Billy Paul here from Alabama. Arizona is sad. Can't believe the people haven't shut it down because we can see the evidence going, and they are pretending it's not in front of them. I think there are a lot of people who are ticked off. You're going to hear
Jeff will give us that full report.
He's going to give us that, and that still thing is in litigation. Billy Paul again, Trump told everyone what was going to happen, and we see it come true. Yes, and I would just wish Trump would have done a little bit more to be prepared for it. He said it was going to happen. Okay, we'll get people there at these voting stations so you have at least the ability to fight back. And I say this because I have a friend whose name is Marty Davis. And when his son was running the time before this one, that's what he did. He got lawyers into these different voting areas, and he got reelected. This time it was a different story, and they remapped him out of the race, so to speak.
Yep.
Joe Dalton, good morning. Good morning, y'all. So I guess he's amplifying the fact that he is from South St. Louis and not North St. Louis. I think that's pretty interesting. What else do we got?
That should be mainly the new ones that we covered.
Trump said it was happening on TV.
Here we go.
Yeah. Trump said it was happening on TV, and they laugh at him. Yeah, they laughed at him, that's for sure. Or they told him not to speak. Remember the case with Leslie, what's her name, on 60 Minutes? We're 60 Minutes. We can't put stuff on that isn't verified. They was talking about the Hunter Biden deal, okay? So, Trump said it was happening on TV, and they laugh at him. 2020, we all see it treason, is how I see it, and it's still happening because they let them get away with it, and we have to have rules of law that are best for the people. Of course, the states are responsible again, and you got to have people in the states that are going to do that.
Yeah, you don't want the Fed running the elections. Period. It needs to be at the state level. They just need to step up.
Yeah,
on their part. But
yeah, see what just happened to my number count? Went down 6 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if they're not doing this.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. Again, the same stuff, same old crap. Yeah, maybe there should be a lawsuit, So China is not only ballooning us for surveillance, they're sending a lot of Chinese people over the border now, paying a lot of money to get Chinese people in here. I wonder why. Yeah. So Biden puts a fence around the Capitol for his speech. Puts a fence around it, and he leaves the border open. So if you don't believe in fences or walls, why would you put a fence around the Capitol?
If fences are good enough for you, why are they not good enough for the border?
One would think, right? So I don't know. So let's do basketball.
I noticed I read where you scored about 20 points a game.
That's right.
That's amazing. How can you possibly score 20 points a game?
Basically, most of my points are scored from the foul line. John, what I do is I wait until the other team gets... Then I set up my position like this. Right. And then they just run into me, bang, like this. And then I pretty much...
Well, that's intriguing. Right. But do you ever actually get to handle the ball during the game?
I do. Once in a while, they'll get it to me. I'm pretty doggone good the ball handler. I'm short, but once they get it to me, I got it. It's hard.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess... I would imagine. I guess at your height, you actually see a different game than the other players.
Johnny, at my height, I not only see a different game, I smell a different game.
My daddy served in the army. We lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard. Till the day that he died, he wanted my mother, my brother, my sister, and me.
I can't hear y'all.
Grow up and live happy in the land of the free. Now this nation that I love is falling under attack.
You got him muted.
A mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere in the back. Soon as we could see clearly through our big black eye, man, we lit up your world like
he's trying to unmute. You want to call him back?
He should be able to hear us now.
Well, you got that mutant thing.
No, Jeff muted himself on there.
Huh?
He muted himself.
Oh, unmute yourself.
Let's come back in.
Okay, just send another one. All right, so he'll be back hopefully in a minute or so, and we'll talk to him, and we'll talk to Elad Hakim. So call the show if you want to. Or recognize us if you want to go on and send us a message. I think he did it there. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing y'all at all.
All right, remember that thing that happened last time? Huh?
No, we're...
Hello?
We're working.
You want to call me on my phone? Why don't we call him? Here. Why don't you go call him right there? And I will say some things. And, you can stay there. It's fine. Okay. I think I'm on. Can they hear me? Yep. All right. I hope. Okay. Fun on live radio, ladies and gentlemen. So, DeSantis forcing Disney it's forcing Disney out of its fantasy land. They own a little city. It's just south of Orlando, and they're demanding now that they're going to pay back taxes, not only there but on the park. That's going to come out to probably somewhere around $750 million. Well, that's going to be tough. So China is indigent about us shooting down their balloon. How dare we do that? How dare we? We got Jeff on? Yep. Okay, Jeff, you there?
Yes, I am. I'm on for some reason, and it's not surprising at all to me. But I can see the what's going on, but I can't hear y'all at all.
You can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now.
Okay, well that's good because, I mentioned something, and all of a sudden the amount of people watching the show
cut like in half.
Dropped in half. Yeah, just like that. And we were having
maybe they don't want to hear what I have to say.
Maybe it's you. Maybe it's something I said. Probably. I just talked about a little bit about Pfizer, but boy, oh boy, this is like. Man, I'm waiting for the Gestapo and or the KGB to come in and arrest me, for goodness sakes. This is ridiculous.
Oh, I know. And the thing is that Biden is such a bad president. He allows the Chinese to take pictures of our country by balloon. So, it just amazes me how bad and pathetic this administration is. So which one do you want to cover first? I
want to introduce you. I don't know
what's going on.
I know the whole world knows you, but just in case there's a couple of people out there that don't know you, ladies and gentlemen, this man is a kinesiologist, and I don't say that to give him credit. I just say it to see if I can say it right. And he's was a Division I NCAA football player. And a basketball ref, Division I. Pastor, he's running again for Congress in Maricopa County in Arizona. Please welcome all the way from Phoenix, Jeff Zink. Now, we're going to be joined, I think, any second now by Elad Hakim, and because he wants to talk to you, too, and find out what the hell's going on. Are we going to have an election? So... How are you?
One of the things that's going to be really interesting. Now, here's the thing. I'm on the Kerry Lake legal team.
Yeah.
I've been helping Tina Peters in Colorado and Mesa, Colorado, and what she's facing. And then just yesterday night, I was told that I'm now being brought on board for Abe Hamadeh. Now, Abe Hamadeh ran for the Attorney General position and was beaten by 500 votes, just over 500 votes. So he did a challenge. They gave him 2 precincts out of the 12 to take a look at. In those 2 precincts, they found 258 ballots that were incorrectly counted to the opponent. So when you take that away and everything else, now it's been cut in half.
Yeah.
And so now there's a lawsuit that says we want to look at all of it now. And so they're in the process of doing that. Plus there was another outside counsel that sued Judge Thompson. And basically, what happened is that he put undue expectations on Kari Lake's legal team. He said that they must have intent. That they must, find intent. They must have the a level of difference to close the 17,000 ballots or votes that have been counted. That we must also be able to prove that there's over 17,000 that would actually flip the election. That's not what Arizona statutes state. Arizona statute states that we must rise to the level that shows there is a question that the election is now questionable. And that is a far lower bar for us to obtain.
Yeah.
And I think we did that. I think we did that with 1,600 sex offenders who registered and voted. Most of them in person that we've canvassed, and we have.
Now, is that for Kari Lake?
Do I now?
Was that for Kari Lake?
No, that's for Arizona. The entire Arizona.
Now, I want to welcome back my good friend Elad. What's your name? Yeah, Hakim. Yes, I was kidding. He was just talking about the Arizona vote and also the Kari Lake thing. Why don't you ask him the question you wanted to find out?
I'm trying to remember it. Oh, wasn't there a hi, Jeff?
Hi, how you doing, Hakim?
Good. Was there a lawsuit filed by some young lawyer there? A new lawsuit? Something along the lines of using the wrong standard.
Judge Thompson's against Judge Thompson, right?
Yes. I was just talking about that.
Right.
So what has happened is that what Judge Thompson he applied the standard that you had to not only find intent that there was intent to overthrow the election, but they also had a bar that you had to produce enough evidence that would overturn the election, meaning that you would have to come up with over 17,000 votes in favor of Kari that would now flip the election. That's not what the Arizona standard states. The Arizona standards that we have says that the evidence presented that an election becomes questionable. That is a much lower bar standard that you have to actually achieve than this extremely high bar of intent. That's not. And so, one of the things that I was covering was there's 1,600 sex offenders that voted that have been proven that they don't have a right to vote. We've also proven dead people. We've also proven that the chain of custody through Steve Richards' own testimony said that there is no chain of custody between the post office in Runback and the drop boxes in Runback. And then also what came out of that is that our drop boxes are unlawful completely. The Secretary of State used the mandate under COVID emergency plan to implement these drop boxes. They were not approved. A law was not put in place by our Congress or our Senate, and therefore they went around the Congress and Senate and put these in, and they're unlawful, and there's no chain of custody with those as well. So literally what we're talking about is out of the 3.1 million ballots that were cast, 2.9 million are now questionable because of the lack of chain of custody. So I think we've already met the standard there, and that's where that lawsuit came in. So we're still waiting for that to go to before the judge.
Which judge does that go through? Is that that's not the same judge, Thompson. Isn't that appellate court?
Yes, and I'm not on. That's one of the few that legal teams I'm not on. Like I said, I'm on Kerry Lakes. I'm helping with Tina Peters, and I was just told the other day that Abe Hamadeh, he has asked our team to come on board with his legal team, so we joined it.
Once again,
through the data.
Who is he? And explain this to Elad a little bit. Okay,
so Abe Hamadeh actually ran for Attorney General. He lost the race by just over, I think it's like 583 votes. He sued to take a look at it. He was granted 2 out of the 12 precincts that were in question. They only gave him 2 of those precincts. In those 2, he found 258 ballots that hadn't been counted, and when counted, they went into his deal. So basically, he cut it in half.
Yeah.
With 2. So now there's a lawsuit that we're getting all of the data and everything from this county, and our team was then asked to be brought on, and so we're now looking at all of the data. So the VM32, 33s, the VM55, the CVR, all these big databases. We've got our computer science gurus on it, and so we're going to blast through, and we're going to come up with the the results there, and then we'll be helping that legal team in their efforts to maybe overturn an election. Now, how important is that? Abe Hamadeh is the Attorney General. He gets into office, the first thing he can do is he can sue Katie Hobbs for not stepping down as Secretary of State when she was running for governor. He can turn around and sue Runback for the lack of chain of custody and force them to overturn all of the evidence that they have. He can sue ES&S and say, turn over the source code so that we can take a look at the algorithms, and then he can then basically cause the whole house of cards to fall down, which will then force Arizona to have a new election. So we're zeroing in on what's taking place here, and since this has come to light, and so like I said, we haven't had a chance to actually look at the evidence. This weekend is going to be very tiresome as we're going through all of this and trying to be prepared to hand all this over by next week. So, it's kind of interesting being involved in all these cases.
Yeah. So, what do you see where this might go, Elad? So that they could get shut down, but then it's going to go to the Supreme Court, probably, and I think they got a level playing. Well, they don't have a level playing field because, they say they lost the election, but I think they got a shot at it, a pretty good shot, don't you?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I can't comment because I don't know the law in Arizona at all. So I think this is Jeff's domain. I was just interested to hear kind of what the basis was, because I know that there was a lawsuit filed.
Yeah.
I know someone who's involved in writing a lot, and she was a lawyer in Arizona, and so she writes a lot about what's going on there. So that's the way I found out about this lawsuit.
Okay. All right. So you're welcome to stay on. I'd like to know some updates on the 1-6 testimony going on, and also the testimony going on in general by Jim Jordan and Comer. What's going on in your case?
I'm going to head out. Thank you very much, guys.
All right.
Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. Keep up the great work. And Dave, thanks again for having me on.
Shabbat shalom, my friend.
Shabbat shalom, guys.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay, so part of the what is taking place with my son's case, on Tuesday he had his 14th stay hearing. The new attorneys, so let me trash a couple of attorneys. We had his old attorneys, Jerry and Cynthia, who basically represented my son and falsely represented my son.
Yeah.
So these are going to be heavy accusations that I'm making public because I want them to come after me now when I state this. They had basically stated that they were trial attorneys that had several wins in federal court in Washington, D.C. They portrayed themselves as defenders of people and everything else. What ended up happening is that these left Democrats attorneys had basically, and we're going to be filing a lawsuit against them as well for misrepresenting my son. Not only had they not done anything and had not filed any motions on behalf of my son, but they were actually leading him down the path of where he was going to have to say that Donald Trump had speeches that encouraged him to come down to create problems in Washington, D.C., that he went there for the intent of harming people with congressmen and senators, that he trespassed inside the Capitol, and that his intent was to overthrow the government. And for all of that, they were going to give him a misdemeanor. They were going to let him do no more jail time, since he'd spent 6 weeks in the gulag when he first got arrested. And then he would be labeled as a domestic terrorist afterwards. And, these two attorneys thought this would be a great deal for my son to take as a deal.
Let me add something here. I've been watching some of these hearings. That's very relevant to what's going on, because the Democrats are using this as a hammer, saying all these people were arrested. Some of them have admitted guilt, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So I assume maybe some of them got deals like what your son was offered, which weren't true, just to get out of jail.
Well, and it's worse than that, because my son's facing 22 years in federal penitentiary if he's convicted. So you look at, okay, I get a misdemeanor, I'm labeled as a domestic terrorist, but I don't do any jail time, I don't have to pay any restitution, I can walk away from this and I can get away from it. The only problem is that if you pled guilty to it, and with the domestic terrorist label, he cannot fly, he cannot go outside the country, he is limited in anything that he had, and he's also subject to the FBI's investigation on a regular basis. And the thing is that what was told to us is that in federal court, a federal judge, when you say that you plead guilty to a misdemeanor, he doesn't have to accept it. And then what has happened with a lot of people is that they've sat down and they pled guilty to these lesser charges, and then the federal judge then adds other things to it. So he goes, well, if you're guilty of this, then you must be guilty of this felony and this felony and this felony, and then applying all of that.
It's all a fraud.
He could get everything. So it's really a catch-22, and so my son basically backed out. And when he did, these very low-life Democrat attorneys then recused themselves from him and left him high and dry. So we now have another attorney. They just completed the conflict of interest, and they are Republicans. They are it's the number one attorney. Roger Root is his name, and M is his assistant. And we've had a lot of conversations with my son and myself, and they're going to represent him the way that he needs to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be filing motions for dismissal. Not one motion was ever filed on behalf of my son on these other
So that's
attorneys.
the only way they can get him is if he cops to something.
Exactly. And the thing is, so a lot of people don't understand. He was with me 100% of the time. My son never left me. He was part of my congressional staff. He was recording me and my presence being there on that day as a congressional candidate. And I wanted to observe what was going on. What we ended up doing is we ended up filming a gentleman that was an Antifa Black Lives Matter that ended up serving 4 months in prison, has to pay it's $2,821 restitution, and then he's on probation for 3 years. Well, that's not a bad deal for breaking 5 windows on the Capitol.
But you were filming him. You were on the outside of the building, right?
We were outside, and we never went inside.
Never went inside the building.
That's right.
They can't charge you with anything, for God's sakes.
You know, the only difference between me and my son, he went live on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so they have him on quotes of saying, we're storming the Capitol, they can't stop us.
Yeah.
Well,
storming the Capitol could mean, in his mind, I'm outside protesting. So what?
Exactly. Well, it's also, Dave, it's like your football team and my football team play each other, and I call you up and I say, we kicked your rear end, or you call me and say, we kicked your rear end. Well, you and I didn't play football in that game. We just were rooting against each other there. And so that's that rivalry that we have when when guys are talking trash and stuff like that. Well, that's the same account that was happening. So all of that has taken place, and the difference is that when the FBI came and interrogated me for an hour and a half, they found that they couldn't hold me. They had no evidence that would lead them to believe that I had committed any wrongdoing. And so, but my son at that time was in the gulag, and I'm going, okay, well, he was with me 100% of the time. So it's that double standard. So one of the things is that I've reached out to Jim Jordan and Troy Nolan from Houston, a congressman who's also on that committee, has reached out to my son. They're going to be asking us to testify in the congressional hearing. I'm not sure when, but I'm going to be going. We will be going to Washington, D.C., and basically it is that this is political persecution. They literally came after somebody who's under my umbrella, and it just so happens that he's my son, but he was on my staff, and they arrested him, and this is political persecution, and they have used that against me in my campaign, against my campaign and everything. And so what we're trying to do is we're going to get this exposure out, because my son did absolutely nothing wrong. And being there on Capitol grounds, he wasn't trespassing. They didn't have me trespassing. And like I said, he was with me 100% of the time.
Well, keep us posted on you getting up there. Now, let me ask you this. So let's say you do succeed in somewhere along the line in overthrowing this Arizona election. Number one, what happens? Do they have another election?
Yes, we can have another election, and that would create us throwing away the ES&S tabulators. The Board of Supervisors, Steve Richer, Adrian Fontes, Katie Hobbs, all will have nothing to do with this election, this election. The tabulators will be not used. It will go to the precinct people that will do hand counting.
And they're not going to send it out to that one place where it was completely unsupervised and out of custody, and then back again?
Run back, and MC Tech cannot be involved in this. Once we prove, and that's the thing, once we prove that this whole entire system has been tainted, then none of that can be used. And an alternative has to be used, which would be precinct hand counting. And that will also give us the reason why we can do this all in one day. So we'll have the results the next day. They won't have an opportunity to inject all of these false ballots that we know are taking place. And here's the thing. So the last 2.5 weeks, I have been testifying before the Senate and the House here in Arizona on election integrity bills. We have in committee everything from getting rid of the drop boxes to having you have to sign or send in information if you want to vote absentee ballot, which means it'd be a mail-in ballot. But that we're also looking at cleaning up our voter rolls, getting people that are dead off. I think it's very entertaining when you have somebody who has voted every year since 2004, every year, 2 and 4 years there, but they died in 2003.
Yeah, it's very. It sounds like Chicago.
We have, and we also gave evidence to the Senate and the House that we had a person.
Hobbs, obviously, if this, you think it's going to pass the Senate?
Well, so we are a purple state. We are Republican by one chair in the Senate and one chair in the House. We are that close together. So, it's 16-14 in the Senate, and it's 20.
It's close.
16-14, and then 31-29 in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
So if there's one Republican that crosses over, it kills the bill that the Republicans are doing. Well, all the rhinos right now have this shield that's covering them because they can stay on the Republican side. They can vote, and they can send all these bills to Katie Hobbs, who's going to turn around and veto them.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's more implication on her part.
Right, and then we don't have the 2/3 votes to overturn her veto. So that's why the Republicans can say, oh gosh, you know what? I look at how good I am.
Yeah,
I'm voting for all this stuff.
Knowing full well she was going to veto it. Right. Okay, so let's say you do win in court and you do have a new election. What are the repercussions in the other states, do you think?
Well, okay, so Georgia, 3 weeks ago, the Georgia Supreme Court overturned the lower courts in that the citizens of Georgia and any entity has standing that can challenge an election. Where's that been in any of the media? It hasn't. So the problem. So one of the things is that when the Supreme Court ruled that the citizens of Georgia have standing, guess who else in every other state now has standing?
I don't know.
So every state, because one state won that, every state won it. This is why this is so important. Everything that happens in these states, when we get a win, it's a win across all 50 states. So
wait a minute. You're saying a state passed a law that anyone is able to sue to overthrow an election, and you're saying
they can challenge. They can challenge the election.
Okay, so you're saying that applies to all 50 states?
It does now.
How?
Okay, so one of the great things about the United States is that, and the Supreme Court has also supported this, that if something is such, which is constitutional, the problem that people now need to understand is that we the people are above the Supreme Court, and that's the law of the land, but we the people are the ones that direct that and say this is what we want, and people they're not being taught this. But that's exactly the way our founding fathers have actually stated that. With that, the laws of the land are applied to the president, then our Congress and Senate, and the Supreme Court itself. So there's three branches that are there, but the Supreme Court is supposed to be between we the people and the rest of the federal government, because we the people make the laws and we have the right to direct it. Then the Supreme Court has to do what the will of the people. So does the president. So are the Congress and Senate.
Is there any precedent for this?
Yeah, it's called the Constitution.
Okay, so this is constitutional law that you're has the Supreme Court ruled on it one way or another on this particular issue?
They have as far back as in the 1800s that got us our first Republican president with Abraham Lincoln, which stated that the law of the land is as we the people direct us.
Okay. So you're saying that Arizona and Georgia could turn this whole thing around in terms of future elections and maybe even previous elections.
Well, and exactly. And the thing is that we get the major thing that we've got to do right now is that once we get Abe Hamadeh and we overturn that election, then we remove the AG right now, which she is horrible, and we put him in. What will end up happening is that he, like I said, he can then turn around and sue Katie Hobbs immediately for not stepping down and running an election that was so bad and corrupt. We're talking hours, 4 hours waiting in line to vote.
Yeah.
In many cases, and I'm not just saying a one or two case, we have affidavits of 1,000 people stating that they waited in line. And then we proved that the tabulators were misaligned because we had a PDF file that was 19 inches that was blown up to fit 20-inch paper, and then the source code was not adapted for that ballot. And so when it was printed, it was having a rejection rate of 7,000 rejections on election day every 30 minutes. Now, let me repeat that, Dave.
Go ahead.
That 14,000 rejections an hour.
Wow.
And you wonder why there were long lines.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was. Listen, there's no way this isn't intentional, is there? I
mean, no. In fact, that's what we proved in court.
It's in the category of you can't be that stupid. It has to be intentional.
We told them that a computer, and this is something another thing people need to stop saying. It's not tabulating machines. There's no gearworks. It is a computer. It is and it's called proprietary source code. So this ties into Tina Peters there. Why is she being arrested and tried, and she's facing a life sentence? I mean,
for what?
The amount of time that she would have to serve she wouldn't survive. So this is a life sentence for her. But the thing is that it's the source code, and she took mirror images of the hard drives, which are the computers.
Yeah.
And before Dominion came in and did their so-called update. So they did their update. They didn't know that there was a mirrored image anywhere. After they did the update, she then went and got a mirror image of the hard drive after the update. So we have before and after. What's really interesting is 5,000 ballots disappear from the update, and we have different winners on the update than we had when before the update. And she has them dead to rights. Well, the FBI has come in, raided her home, has incarcerated her, had in one of the three grandmas that they're calling them, all the grandmas that were working, that were assistant. One of her assistants, the 16-year-old daughter, was made to stand on the porch in public in her underwear.
Why?
Because she couldn't go in because they were searching the house. But nobody had the decency to get her a blanket or to get her clothes or to allow her to dress herself before she was brought out into the public. A 16-year-old was taken out of the house in her underwear and was forced to stand there. The overreach of this federal government is so much that I am so tired of it, and hence the reason why I'm fighting so hard on so many fronts. And one of the things I testified this week on was the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates.
Yeah.
And Arizona just passed. Now it'll get vetoed by Hobgoblin, but the thing is that
see, we don't know that. That is Governor-elect Hobbs, phony governor, but she's still that's Hobbs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hobgoblin doesn't mean much to people in Missouri.
Okay. So the thing is that for me, I'm sitting here looking at this, and we need to make sure that if the government ever tries to do this again, that the state of Arizona will not allow the government to ever shut down churches again.
Yeah.
Our businesses again.
Yeah. I mean,
and cannot force them to take any vaccine under the Nuremberg Code, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that surround our right to.
What you're doing is you're trying to save America, and you're really doing it. You're out there doing it. I'm just talking about it, but you're doing it, and you're in so many different areas where you can do this. You must be anointed by someone somewhere or God himself to be doing this, okay? Because you're in a position to do it, and you're willing to do it. So I'm very proud of you. I got to get going. I got another interview I got to put on the air, and stay in touch. This is breathtaking what you're talking about, because it could change the course of history in general and the United States of America in particular. Thank you, my friend.
I sure hope so. And thank you all.
Yeah.
And the thing is that my son, if people want to donate, there's two places you can go. One is to my website, jeffzinkforcongress.com.
Yeah.
As a donate page. I am running for Congress, and I'm in the fight of my life because Reuben has moved on to the Senate, and he's going to be running in the Senate. I'm going to be running against a no-name. I've already been told that $50 million has been allocated. I don't need $50 million, but I am going to have a couple of $1 million. So I need all the friends and everybody to donate $5 here. If I get 1 million people to donate $1, I have $1 million. So, and that's all it takes. But the other is that on GiftSendGo /Ryan Zink, and that's RyanZink, they can go to my son's website. He just was granted rights to have one, so he can start raising money for his legal fees because of these other attorneys that misrepresented him are keeping his money, and they're not returning and refunding, yet they didn't do anything for him. So he now is, and I don't have the money or anything else, but we need help. So those are two things that if y'all can push out, I'd really appreciate.
All right, we'll get that on the. How do you get that on the site?
Okay.
All right, yeah, we'll do it.
Yep.
Don't worry.
Yep.
Here's another awful situation. There was a new mom that sued her midwife. She thought labor was included. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi to Patricia. Take care, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Stephanie,
oh, shit. Oh, shoot.
Oh, stop it.
Who said that?
You're out of control over there.
Lisa, stop that.
You're out of control.
Okay, play Dick Morris.
I think you.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say,
Ladies and gentlemen, the only man in New York City that likes his landlord, author of close to 20 best-selling books, including The Return, Trump's big 2024 comeback. Former advisor to Bill and Hillary and others. Please welcome all the way from New York City, Dick Morris. So let me ask you, why did AT&T take down Newsmax? And is your show still there?
Yes, it is still there, and I'm on every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. But it's nothing in Newsmax has changed. It's just that DirecTV and AT&T delisted it from their DirecTV stuff. So if you're a DirecTV subscriber, you can't get Newsmax. Newsmax is the same.
Where can you get it if you're not? Because I am an AT&T DirecTV guy. Where can you find it?
Get it? And you need to switch off of AT&T and off of DirecTV.
Right.
Because they're censoring you and they're telling you what you can and can't watch.
Exactly.
And, it's just outrageous.
OANN did this too. They did that to OANN.
They did that to OANN, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the point here is that this is the only remedy we have is as consumers and as citizens, not to knuckle under to this kind of tyranny, and instead to say we want to watch what we want to watch, and we're not going to let AT&T or DirecTV direct our viewing habits by making it impossible for us to listen to the former president and perhaps the future president who wants to communicate with us. We have to realize that the big difference between Fox and Newsmax is that Fox does not cover Donald Trump much,
right?
But Newsmax does.
Yeah.
And so Newsmax broadcasts speeches, Fox doesn't. And that's why Newsmax is the object of this, not Fox. They're leaving Fox on the air. but they're taking Newsmax off because they want to take Donald Trump off. This is all part of the Democratic effort to stop Trump from running because they know if he ran, he'd win, and they're scared to death of him.
Let's talk. They are scared to death of him. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely what most people who follow this believe. Let's talk about Biden's speech for a moment. The
State of the Union.
Yeah, State of the Union address. Now, you commented that he had some strategic purpose other than big lies. What did he use, and why do you say they're effective?
Well, when I worked for Bill Clinton in 1995, he was preparing his State of the Union speech. And we were talking about it, and he said, I cut the budget deficit in half. I cut unemployment down. Jobs are returning. We're getting over the recession. Everything's going to be good. And I polled it, and I said, nobody believes that. Nobody believes you did that. He said, but I did cut the deficit in half. It's a fact. He said, I did lower the unemployment rate by 1.5 points. It's a fact. And I said, it doesn't matter what the facts are. The people don't believe that. So I told him what you need to do is talk about small bore achievements, things that are less than global, but where you can make a real difference in someone's life, like family medical leave and some stuff like that, or school crossing, or anti-drug policies outside of schools. And I sold him on the idea of a small bore agenda, of very specific things that he can do that are really important to individual people. And that's how he got reelected. And that's what Biden is attempting to do now.
Do you think Biden's succeeding at this?
Let me just explain it. He knows that you can't tell people that he solved immigration, although he's trying. You can't tell people he solved the economy, although he's trying to sell that. He won't succeed in telling people that he's cured inflation, because every day they see that he hasn't. But he might be able to tell people that he's capping the cost of insulin. And he might be able to tell people that he's stopping banks from charging too much when you bounce a check.
Yeah, right.
And he might succeed in telling people that he's doing a lot of these small achievements that are cutting airline fees, where he's intervening in very small issues that are very important to people, to certain people, and win their votes. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to have bite-sized achievements, which he can do and can claim credit for.
Dick, what do you think of Sarah Huckabee's response to Biden's speech?
I thought it was great. I thought she was just terrific.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see her as vice president.
You know, I was just telling my producer here, J.P. Maxwell, I says, you know what, she has raised herself up to being maybe a vice presidential candidate. Now, and I know Trump loves her, right?
I think she has. And the wonderful thing about Sarah is that after you look at, there have been 3 women who've tried to be vice president: Geraldine Ferraro, Sarah Palin, and Kamala Harris. And all 3 have fallen really short of the mark. They've really not been able to pull it off. But Sarah Huckabee, from her standing up there in front of the press day after day for 2 years, obviously can handle that, and obviously is up to that scrutiny. And that's a good audition for being vice president.
Now, to your point earlier that the left is just trying to knock Donald Trump out, pretty much, and it's looking more and more now like others, like DeSantis, and others that some were in the campaign with Trump, a guy from New Hampshire, is now saying he's going to run. Yes. How does this playing out in terms of what Trump will do?
Well, I think that Trump is way, way ahead of all of them. And they're potential future candidates, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you might at some point in the future look at them, either this time or in 4 years. But the point about Donald Trump is that he is the alternate president right now. if you look at Joe Biden and you want an alternative, Donald Trump is the guy staring you in the face right now, talking about all the issues and explaining what he would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's really, at this point, even more the leader of the opposition than he is a candidate in the future. And I think that's the role that he's playing. The Chinese float a balloon over the United States, and then Biden screws it up, and it's Donald Trump that gets up there and says, we got to shoot it down. Biden messes up our policy in Afghanistan, and we have a horrible withdrawal. And it's Donald Trump who stands up there and says, that's not how you have to handle it. You had to pull the army out last. And I believe that Trump is, in a sense, the alternative to the president every day. Normally, legislative leaders do it, but McConnell's not up to that.
Well, he's getting help. He's getting help from the Democrats, who every time something bad happens in the Biden administration, they say either Trump started it or it's Trump's fault or whatever. Yeah. They put his name right out there.
Yeah, they can try to do that, but I think that being the alternative to Joe Biden is Trump's mission, and if he screws it up, he can look at other candidates. But he's not screwing it up. He's doing a good job of it. And I don't think any of those candidates are going to become real.
Does Biden go all the way? Is he going to run? So it looks to me like the Dems don't want him.
I wouldn't sell that guy a 2-year life insurance policy, would you?
No.
I wouldn't give him term insurance. Too big a risk.
Yeah.
Dave,
so other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and buy your book?
At Amazon.com or DickMorris.com.
One last thing. I don't know if you play golf or not, but I bought a club on eBay, but all I got was the shaft. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Morris. Thanks, Dick. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're back, and you know what? We got 9 minutes to go. So what I'd like to do is play some of the speech that Sarah Sanders delivered that's getting such high Republican response, and actually the news is going crazy over her, too. So we're going to play a few clips, but if you want to call the show, 573-578-2700, and please go to my show page and like it.
And share it, please.
And share it, please.
We really appreciate you helping us get the word out.
Yeah, please do, because that really helps a lot. Like it and share it. Mm-hmm. At the Dave Weinbaum Show on Facebook, right?
Very good.
Thank you. Ooh, ooh. My wife approved me. All right, let's hit it with Sarah Palin.
So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden. From out-of-control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China, Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it, and you know it. And it's time for a change. Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control, but that's not who we are. America is the greatest country the world has ever known because we're the freest country the world has ever known, with a people who are strong and resilient.
Sarah Huckabee, I made a mistake, as was so wildly pointed out by my wife and JP. All right, I'm sorry. Hit it.
I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year of marriage when she was diagnosed with spinal cancer. The doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again. And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas and is speaking to you tonight. Adversity and fear of the unknown can paralyze us, but faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this to charge boldly ahead. I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is. In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left. The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership. Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools, eliminate the use of derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns. Americans want common sense from their leaders, but in Washington, the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record, the most secure border in history, cheap, abundant, homegrown energy, fast rising wages, a rebuilt military, and a world that was stable and at peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all. Despite Democrats' trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history. As a mom, my heart breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction. 100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses, largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives. And after years of Democrat attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the police, violent criminals roam free, while law-abiding families live in fear. Beyond our border, from Afghanistan to Ukraine, from North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk. And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary, is dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies, and defend our people. He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day. Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace. But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight. Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols, all while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is, your freedom of speech. That's not normal. It's crazy, and it's wrong. Make no mistake, Republicans will not surrender this fight. We will lead with courage and do what's right, not what's politically correct or convenient. Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities, where jobs are abundant and paychecks are rising, where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child. These are the principles Republican governors are fighting for, and in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we will hold the Biden administration accountable. Down the street from where I sit is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High. As a student there, I will never forget watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee, and President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were black. Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now heroes memorialized in bronze at our State House. I'm proud of the progress our country has made, and I believe giving every child access to a quality education, regardless of their race or income, is the civil rights issue of our day. Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country.
All right. We fit it all in, all the highlights from that speech. This is Dave Weinbaum. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week with another edition of Dave Weinbaum Show.